Hey, there is one cartoon that's floating around on OpenAI. The question is, will OpenAI make software developers or some of the tech jobs obsolete? Probably not. And here is why I think it's less unlikely to do it. So, like previously, people used to code in VI editor, then IDEs came up, and then the mode of communication, basically we didn't have APIs, then API came up, but it didn't decrease the demand for developers, neither will ChatGPT. Here is why. So machine learning tools helps us to do tasks effectively, but they also don't need to replace our need to think. So we still need to think, right? You get a couple of output, but you still won't be, you don't know if what the machine learning is doing is right or wrong. Sometimes they may be right, sometimes they are incredibly wrong, but you need a human to actually decide if the output that it's suggesting is right or wrong. And similarly, you might be using Siri and Alexa to do some basic task. They can't help you with complex task. So ChatGPT can't help you to solve very complex problems, nor it can replace what humans innovate. But technologies do help you to uh, be more productive at work than you doing most of the work yourself. So if you ask me, as programmers or as engineers, we should not stop investing in our learning for our long term career. If anything, we can use these tools to be more productive and 100x our productivity at work. So if you want to leverage, you have to figure out how ChatGPT can help you to be more productive at work. And having said that, I have made a short list of tasks ChatGPT can do. So it can summarize a text for you. It can translate language from one language to another. It can give you ideas to generate. So basically, if you have a business idea, you can pass by ChatGPT and see if it has worked anywhere or anyone has tried this out anywhere. So you can look for if you go ask VC for funds, or if you have watched Shark Tank or any other stuff. So generally people ask, is there anything similar? What's the size of the market? So you can basically better research what you are creating for your startup or other stuff. That's very helpful. And natural language to code. So if I give a description, probably I need to do this for a game. So I basically need the following assets for a game. Can you provide me code for this? ChatGPT can do that. So it has classification, or if you have a tweet, uh, you can ask ChatGPT, if given a text, what classifies a tweet as spam or not, or what's the sentiment analysis of a tweet. So you can basically leverage some of those aspects with reinforcement learning here. And similarly, you can build a Q&A bot. You can also do it using Keras or any other frameworks, TensorFlow. You can also do it with ChatGPT. So if you have a bug in your code, you can copy paste it. Like uh, if you do it in Stack Overflow, um, so there is some human who will get back to you with a solution, and others who agree with that solution upvote it. So there is validation among the community. But with ChatGPT, that doesn't there. So you basically get a solution. You can do trial and error. What ChatGPT suggests to you, you might land up with a correct solution, or you might not. There is no guarantee you will. So if you basically want to convert a sentence into past tense or past present tense, your ChatGPT can do that for you. So having said that, why we should celebrate ChatGPT, right? So the three things why I think ChatGPT is pretty helpful is, so it is not the first machine learning tool. So there was TensorFlow, there was Keras, there are multiple other stuff. So like if you want to autocomplete a sentence or autocomplete a code, GitHub Copilot will help you in production to generate the data. And similarly, there are translation apps which are using ChatGPT to do that. We will go over that later in this. So as a coding assistant, or when it come back to GitHub Copilot as a coding assistant, distinguishes itself from Copilot with the ability to formulate responses to conversational prompts as opposed to pre-programmed commands. So in GitHub Copilot, if you write a function, if you are stuck somewhere, GitHub Copilot will give you suggestions. Whereas ChatGPT, you can actually describe what you are trying to do. If you basically describe this is the following function I need a code for, it is going to give you a snippet of code. And the another thing is making coding accessible. So when we say making coding accessible, throughout history, we have seen technologies evolve. So previously there was C, then there was C++, similarly there was JavaScript, then ES6, React, Redux, so Angular. So you had TypeScript. So there are more frameworks that came up. And that have enabled engineering developers or software engineers because of methods we have for abstraction. So it has become easier for more and more people to leverage complex technologies, which was only understood by core engineers. So ChatGPT is probably that which will be usable for translators, writers. If you want to create ideas for a YouTube channel, you can get it. So there are variety of use cases ChatGPT will help you. So benefiting from abstraction doesn't mean developers would be less skilled or knowledgeable. Similarly, if you don't know how a car engine works, you are not a bad driver. And similarly, using autocomplete or asking an AI to optimize your function or code doesn't make you a bad engineer. So it will just help you to get better throughput, and it will also help the company to get better quality code. So that's all it would help you. So it's a research assistant. So what I mean by research assistant is uh, it has been trained with 45 terabytes of data, and this is mostly from Common Crawl, Web Text 2, and codes in Python, Wikipedia, and multiple other places. So the responses is based on training data set it has received, and to the human input, uh, it provides a response. So the ability to interpret what you are asking can make ChatGPT a useful research assistant. So it's not that in Q&A Maker, let's basically say if you have used Azure, in Q&A Maker, if you basically feed the commonly asked questions, only that it's able to respond. So it does not have knowledge beyond that. So ChatGPT is like Google, which does not give you a list of pages, but it gives you actual questions. But having said that, as we mentioned, um, it does not have validation if the data it's generated is right or wrong. That's a limitation of this. But coming back to this, how does ChatGPT transform our life by reducing TDM? So ChatGPT is going to make your code more productive and bug free. So what I mean by it, so if you are a developer, most of us have encountered this, that we have to do grunt work and testing. When I say testing, so you whenever you write a code, you are asked to write unit tests. So you have to figure out how to generate unit tests. And uh, if you are building a framework, uh, you might need security experts to figure out is this code secure or are there security loopholes. And similarly, you basically have an SQA team or a QA team doing manual testing or UI testing with Selenium. So all this tasks ChatGPT will help developers to automate, and this frees developers time to do the more complex issues and basically focus on higher level concerns rather than just focusing on basic tasks which they are expected to do. So while people say that oh, this is going to make developers lazy, they won't know, having a calculator doesn't make you less productive. You know math, you know multiplication, but you would rather use a machine to do that computation and move on what you need to do faster. So that's basically what uh, ChatGPT does to engineers. So there is no cognitive or productive benefit to keep retyping the code offline which you know again and again. So if you can rather use that time to actually solve more complex problems, but you still need to know what you need to copy paste. So if you do not have the domain knowledge, or if you do not know, if you do not have the technical depth, you won't be able to determine if ChatGPT output is right or wrong. So you still need a human to determine that. And having said that, uh, one thing is okay. So these are the benefits, but its ChatGPT is also not magic. So it was trained on a very large set of data, and it considers the responses it's giving is best to its ability, but like anything, it has limitations. One thing is human judgment. So chat gpt is useful. It will give you the questions you ask, you're going to get a solution, but you still need human judgment to determine if what it's returning or the learning models it's giving, you consume it, or you need to ask follow-up questions to get the right solutions out of it. So you might get a snippet from ChatGPT. You still need to know if it's workable or not, or does it customizes to your solution or not, or if you have a coding standard in your company, does it conform to that coding standard? So ChatGPT won't know all the coding standards in your company unless you are willing to train it, but nobody will be willing to expose every part of their organization to an AI. So that's basically where you need a uh, human to make judgment for this. So there is no guarantee what solution it gives fits your specific use case. Similarly to a Stack Overflow, you basically ask a solution, you get a snippet there, but you simply won't copy paste it there. You still need to you ask the community, this is what I'm thinking. Am I doing going the right path? And based on the feedback, you determine that. And having said that, so chat gpt can't help you get a job. So having said that, what I mean is, as a developer, your job is understanding what the problem is, and you have to brainstorm the possible solutions. Then you basically work with your architect to come up with a programming language to actually write a solution. And then if you have a machine learning tool like ChatGPT, it can help you code faster, but they can't solve all the problems for you. So ChatGPT helps average engineers, or probably below average engineers, right, to be better efficient developers. It is not capable of solving the entire human problems on its own. So it still needs some guidance from the user. So even if we are receiving help when we write code, we are not running out of big problems to solve. There are enough problems to solve. And when I say an echo chamber, it has limited perspective. So ChatGPT was trained for all the data in the web till 2021. And like any machine learning model, it comes with risk. So it could be like copyright. The code you are writing, does it violate any copyright? And or it could also be, if a repeated code of snippet, is it the best practice, or can you optimize your code, or is it functional modular enough, or is it just writing repeated code, multiple for loops or multiple loops, where it can be written as a function, or it can be written as a private class, or inheritance. So how does it do system design? So there are always some limitations that are there. While so let's basically take one incident which Microsoft encountered. So Microsoft had a documentation about a toy driver they created, even though they indicated it was a toy driver and not the best practice to build a real driver. Everyone did not read that warning and started incorporating it. Then Microsoft took years to do it. So ChatGPT is fully capable of generating answers which might not be optimal or which might not be the right way to do it. But it will do so still. It will provide you a solution with utmost confidence. So we don't have any metric to see if the data, what it's generating, is right, or does it meet our expectation, or is there any error it's ignoring. So the disadvantage against other source, so like let's say GitHub or uh, Stack Overflow, right? It is going to give you multi-dimensional data wherein you can actually see upvote, downvote, or if there is a bug, there is a star on a repo, and that uh, human validation won't be there with ChatGPT. So it's like, since its view of the world is limited and is based on what it's trained, you can treat it like an echo chamber. And uh, like it has been trained on certain ethical aspects, but it you have to take it with the responses it generates. You have to take it with a grain of salt. So it might be easier to write the code from the scratch, then work backwards to validate a generated code snippet, or uh, you can actually design your system, and you can take ChatGPT's help to actually fill up those blanks and see if you can build your system faster. So these are some aspects which I wanted to discuss about ChatGPT before we actually get started with this. And the tool here basically is this person is asking this lady here that, hey, did you hear about ChatGPT? Yes, I've heard it, and it tests the code that it suggests. And then both in 2032 are protesting that ChatGPT should be taken away. We have always heard the stories that AI are going to replace most of the mundane tasks we do in the next decade. And that's basically why I added this section, because even though you might be a programmer or not, this might be interesting to you. If you are a copywriter, or if you are a blogger, or you might be a you might be a lyricist, a story writer, AI impacts most of the industries. So it might impact you to boost productivity, or if it does the job better than you, we might be out of work in that tenure. So that's the part I wanted to cover here. And we will look at more ChatGPT use cases going forward. This is just a background I wanted to provide, and thank you for